Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Sally Spectra and Billy Abbott's relationship has survived what many thought would be its breaking point, a seismic test that left them bruised, rattled, and limping toward the finish line but somehow still together. When Billy's unchecked thirst for revenge on Victor Newman detonated her budding career, shattered her confidence, and left her unemployed overnight, fans assumed Sally would pack her bags and sprint for the nearest exit. She had every reason to. Billy had spurned Jack's investment in Abbott Communications, detonated the startup from the inside, and pivoted wildly toward Chancellor Winters simply to stick it to Victor and Jill. That choice not only left Sally blindsided but forced her to watch her professional dreams go up in smoke because of a man who claimed to love her, but couldn't see past his own vendettas to protect her. But by some miracle, some bizarre, star-crossed twist worthy of Genoa City's most chaotic couples, Sally didn't run. She didn't quit. She didn't decide she was done with Billy's reckless crusades and combustible impulses. Instead, she gave her impulsive playboy boyfriend an ultimatum, and shockingly, it worked. Billy straightened up, snapped into place like a chastened schoolboy, and devoted himself to being the model partner, the attentive listener, the man who finally understood that love meant responsibility. He let Sally take the lead at Abbott Communications, even though the company was more dream than functional business at this point. He swallowed his pride when she blindsided him by revealing Jill as a silent investor. He didn't flinch. He didn't fight. He simply complied, eager to prove he could be stable, supportive, and trustworthy. And for a moment, just a moment, it looked like Silly had finally found solid ground. It looked like the storms had passed, the worst had already been endured, and Billy's chaotic past had been tamed by Sally's fiery grit and desperate hope that this time, this man might not let her down. But Genoa City has never met a couple it didn't want to destroy, and Sally and Billy's shaky, freshly patched together love is about to face a test so messy, so morally twisted, so emotionally explosive that even their biggest supporters might question whether they can survive what comes next. Because even though Sally and Billy have clawed their way back from the brink once, the cracks in their foundation never truly sealed, and the universe, as it often does, is about to wedge those cracks open until everything comes spilling out. The trouble begins when Claire Grace, yes, that Claire, the reformed, repentant niece, still struggling to reinvent herself after the poison past she's barely escaped, makes a move that no one saw coming. In an act of sheer soap-logic chaos, she picks up the phone and calls Billy Abbott. Not Adam. Not Nikki. Not Victor. Not anyone with a personal or professional stake in Audra Charles's downfall. No, Claire chooses Billy, of all people, as the keeper of her freshly uncovered nuclear-grade dirt on Audra. Why she opts not to deliver that explosive secret to her Uncle Adam, whose family owns a media empire, is anyone's guess, but soaps are gonna soap, and chaos chooses its vessels without explanation. Claire dangles the information like a glistening lure, inviting Billy, tempting him, to take a bite and finally deliver something massive enough to catapult Abbott Communications into instant relevance. And that's where the problem begins, because Sally Spectra is not merely friends with Audra Charles, she is Audra's closest ally, her only consistent supporter, and the one person in Genoa City willing to defend her without hesitation. Sally has promised Audra she will work her magic with Jill and secure her a job at Abbott Communications, despite Billy's concerns and warnings that Audra's complicated past makes her a dangerous hire. Sally sees potential in Audra. Billy sees risk. And now Claire's bombshell threatens to weaponize every simmering disagreement between them. Billy now finds himself trapped in a moral vice, a no-win situation with consequences that could implode both his professional ambitions and his personal life. If he follows the instinct that has always ruled him, the urge to push the button, chase the adrenaline, seize the story, he could launch Abbott Communications into the stratosphere. Claire's intel could be the blockbuster that finally gives the company a real identity, a real audience, and a real foothold in the cutthroat media world. But doing that means betraying Sally. It means exposing her best friend. It means torching her trust. And it may mean unraveling everything Sally's been fighting to rebuild, professionally and emotionally. On the other hand, if Billy takes Claire's information straight to Sally, Sally will bury it. Burn it. Destroy the evidence and protect Audra without hesitation. Sally's loyalty to Audra is unwavering, fierce, emotional, sometimes irrational, and she has already promised to shield her from the fallout of her past. That means Billy's big career-defining story dies the second Sally learns about it. So Billy stands at a crossroads, and neither path leads to peace. If he hides Claire's intel and publishes it anyway, he betrays Sally on a level she may never forgive. If he brings it to her and lets her squash it, he sacrifices his ambition, and possibly the future of Abbott Communications, just to preserve the fragile harmony between them. And viewers know Billy Abbott, restraint is not his brand. Patience is not his strength. And long-term thinking has never been his guiding light. He gambles. He improvises. He leaps without looking. And more often than not, he detonates every relationship he touches in the process. This moment could be the one that pushes him back into old habits. The temptation of a career-making scoop, the thrill of finally outmaneuvering the shadow of Victor Newman, the validation of proving Abbott Communications can matter, those impulses are intoxicating to a man who has spent half his life in the trenches of self-inflicted chaos. And Sally knows that. She fears that. She's lived it before. If Billy even hesitates, she'll feel the shift. She'll sense the betrayal long before the fallout arrives. Claire's call, then, is not merely a plot twist, it's a ticking time bomb expertly placed between Sally and Billy's shared bed, humming and growing hotter with every passing hour. And the most dangerous part is this, it doesn't matter what Billy chooses. The damage is already coming. Because Sally wants to protect Audra, and Billy wants to protect the company. And sooner or later, one of those loyalties will become the casualty. Even Courtney Hope herself, Sally's portrayer, hinted recently that she'd love to see Sally go through the fire with Billy over conflict that stems from outside forces rather than their own shortcomings, much like Adam and Chelsea did during Connor's OCD storyline. Well, if she's hoping for fire, the universe is delivering a wildfire. Because this isn't just about Audra. It's about trust. Loyalty. Instinct. Billy's history of self-sabotage. Sally's history of abandonment and betrayal. Their shared trauma, their shaky reunification, their desperate attempt to prove that two people with damaged pasts can still build something lasting. Claire's bombshell will test every layer of that fragile foundation. And worst of all? It will expose the truth neither of them wants to admit, the cracks that divided them once never fully healed. They were patched, temporarily, by apologies, promises, and desperation. But cracks don't disappear. They wait. And when pressure returns, they split open wider than before. As Claire's secret slithers deeper into the spaces between them, Sally and Billy will face a slow-burn emotional meltdown that could become the beginning of the end. Sally will see Billy's hesitation as proof he doesn't value her loyalty. Billy will see Sally's unwavering defense of Audra as proof she's choosing friendship over their future. Fights will escalate. Doubt will spread. Jill's involvement as a silent investor will suddenly become complicated. Even Jack may be dragged into the fallout as Billy's judgment comes into question once again. And when the truth inevitably blows up, because in Genoa City, secrets always surface, the explosion could be catastrophic. This may not be just another fight. This may not be just another hurdle. This could be the one that leaves them both scorched and standing alone. Because The Young and the Restless has set the stage with surgical precision, a moral dilemma, a wedge of conflicting loyalties, a secret too big to bury, and a couple held together by hope more than stability. All the ingredients for soap disaster are in place. And as this storyline unfolds, one question will eclipse all others. Sally and Billy's relationship just passed a major test when she decided to stick it out with him after his thirst for revenge on Victor left her both disillusioned and unemployed, but as it turns out, the hurdles will keep coming, and Young and Restless has already put the next one into place. We could hardly believe it when Sally elected to offer Billy another chance after he spurned Jack's investment in Abbott Communications and abandoned the startup in favor of pursuing Chancellor Industries to stick it to Victor and Jill, leaving his girlfriend unemployed and totally disillusioned. But when the unlucky in-love redhead gave her misguided man an ultimatum, it worked. Sally. Billy straight right up and snapped into line as the model boyfriend and business partner, continuing to let Sally lead the non-existent media company even after she blindsided him by announcing that Jill had come on as a silent investor. After all of this, it would seem Silly is on solid ground, but perhaps their foundation been weakened too much to weather another incoming storm? We're about to find out. As young and restless viewers will recall, last week, Claire made a call to Billy, of all people, to dangle her dirt on AUDRA''s. Why she didn't offer the juicy tidbit to her Uncle Adam, her own family's media company, is beyond us, but soaps are gonna soap. How, you might be wondering, will this affect Sally and Billy's relationship? Well, we'll tell you. Claire phone. Sally, as we all know, is AUDRA'S closest friend and, at the moment, her only supporter. She's promised AUDRA that she'll clear the way with Jill to hire her at Abbott Communications, despite Billy's warning against it. Sally AUDRA. Obviously then, Claire's juicy lead lands Billy neck deep in an uncomfortable dilemma: pursue the Blockbuster story as a means of blasting Abbott Communications onto the media scene, or bring the information to Sally, who will almost certainly bury it. Our thinking is that Billy had better not gamble here. But when has that ever happened? If Billy breaks this news without bringing Sally into the loop, or goes ahead and publishes it against her wishes, they're toast. Billy phone YNR. Either way, Claire's call is going to cause trouble between the live-in lovers. Soaps recently spoke to Courtney Hope about her alter ego's newest relationship, and she admitted that she'd like to see Sally going through the fire with Billy over something that created conflict, but wasn't necessarily about them, much as Adam and Chelsea did over Connor's OCD. Chelsea and Billy get news YNR. We're not sure if this upcoming drama qualifies, given that it's about AUDRA, but will ultimately come down to where Billy's loyalties lie. Will Sally be able to stick it out one more time? One thing we're sure of is that Young and Restless has set the scene for what may turn out to be a potential split, and a messy one at that. If there was ever a moment when fate seemed determined to expose the deepest fractures in Sally Spectra and Billy Abbott's relationship, it is now, with Claire's secret hanging over them like a storm cloud ready to rupture. What makes this particular crisis feel so dangerous is not only the content of Claire's revelation but the timing. Sally and Billy had barely finished patching the wounds from their last battle. Billy had only just proven, or so Sally believed, that he could put her first, prioritize their partnership, and respect the boundaries she set for both of them. The alarms in Sally's head had quieted, if only slightly. She had convinced herself that the Billy she was with now was not the Billy who always let chaos dictate his actions. She believed he would choose her over drama, loyalty over ego, stability over sabotage. But even the strongest illusions fracture under pressure, and Claire's call brings exactly that kind of pressure, intense and destabilizing, ready to collapse every fragile piece of progress they've made. Billy feels the weight of it instantly. When Claire's voice trembles across the line, carrying information so explosive it hums like electricity, every instinct in him awakens. This is a story. A big one. A career-making one. The type of story that builds an empire or destroys one. The kind of lead he once lived for. It feels like destiny, like a second chance to prove he can do something meaningful with Abbott Communications. Yet the moment he hangs up, reality crashes in. The woman he loves, the woman who trusted him enough to stay after he wrecked her career, is about to become collateral damage if he follows through. And worse? Sally will know. Sally always knows when something is off. Her intuition is fierce, razor sharp. If Billy even hesitates, if he even shifts his tone or changes his expression around her, she'll sense the tremor. And she does. That evening, when Billy comes home, Sally's internal antennae activate before he even sets one foot inside their loft. His energy feels different, tight, buzzing, almost jittery. She's seen this version of him before, the Billy whose mind is racing faster than his conscience can keep up. He kisses her, but the moment lingers a beat too long, as if he needs the kiss to distract from the guilt already swirling inside him. She pulls back, studies his face, and a small frown forms. Not anger yet, just curiosity laced with fear. Because Sally knows that when something's wrong, it's rarely something small. "You okay?" she asks. Billy smiles, too quickly. "Yeah. Just a long day." The lie is paper thin. So thin Sally could tear through it with a single question, but she doesn't, not yet. Because Sally Spectra has learned something over the past year, pushing too soon sometimes makes a man retreat deeper into whatever he's hiding. She wants Billy to choose honesty on his own. But as the hours pass, and Billy avoids eye contact, paces around the room, or stares too long at nothing, Sally's worry curdles into dread. By the next morning, Sally can barely focus on Abbott Communications proposals, mock-ups, or hiring plans. Her mind drifts constantly, her stomach clenched, wondering what's eating Billy alive from the inside. She tells herself not to jump to conclusions, but fear has always been her undoing. Fear of being ignored. Fear of being lied to. Fear of being left behind. Fear of losing everything because she trusted the wrong person. Those fears have teeth, and they start biting. Meanwhile, Billy is trapped. The secret inside him grows heavier by the hour. Claire's words echo like a siren in his mind, pushing him toward the story, urging him to seize the moment. He tells himself he's waiting for the right time to bring it to Sally, that he's trying to protect her by gathering more details first. But deep down, Billy knows the truth. He hasn't told her because part of him already knows she'll bury the story. And he wants it too badly. He wants the win. He wants the validation. He wants the moment where he finally proves he's more than the screw-up everyone sees. And that is the exact line where couples fall apart, when one person's ambition begins to outrun the relationship. By the time Billy sits down with Claire in a dim corner of crimson lights to hear the full story, the damage has already started. Claire is tentative, almost remorseful, as if she senses the chain reaction she's about to ignite. She explains everything, what she discovered about AUDRA, why it matters, how it could explode across Genoa City if the right outlet exposes it. Claire chose Billy because she believes he can handle the truth responsibly. She trusts him, perhaps naively, believing he will weigh the ethics and consequences with maturity. But Billy hears only one thing: opportunity. This is it. This is his shot. Claire watches him absorb it, his expression shifting from shock to calculation to dangerous excitement. And that's when she realizes something she probably should have understood earlier: Billy Abbott is not a neutral vessel. He's not someone who stays calm while handling a grenade. He's someone who throws the grenade if he thinks it will prove a point. Still, she hopes he'll choose wisely. She hopes he'll at least talk to Sally. But Billy, now intoxicated by the possibilities, ends the meeting with a simple, "Let me look into it." Not, "I'll talk to Sally." Not, "We need to think this through." Just, "Let me look into it." And that is the moment Claire knows she has set something dangerous into motion. When Billy returns home that night, Sally finally stops pretending everything is fine. She waits until he sits down, then takes a deep breath and asks, softly but firmly, "What's going on?" Billy freezes. The question hits like a spotlight. And instead of choosing honesty, Sally's biggest request, the one promise he's made time and time again, he falters. He dodges. He deflects. "Just stress," he says. "Just projects. Just the usual."